My next guest was named one of Entertainment Weekly's 5 artists breaking now and Rolling Stone Country's One to Watch. According to Taste of Country, his music proves his singer-songwriter mark will be distinct. And CMT praises his songs feature lyrical content chock full of vulnerability and heart. Hummon spent the end of 2019 on tour with acts such as Tim McGraw, Keith Urban, and Lady A, and recently celebrated getting one of his songs cut by Tim McGraw. Welcome to the Living Instead podcast, singer-songwriter Levi Hummon. What's up, Levi?
What up? How are you doing?
I am so good. I am so excited for you to be on this podcast. I've been watching your career blossom for the last 8 years I've been in Nashville, and it's just such a joy to watch you keep putting out music and keep fighting for that career that you've always seen for yourself.
Yeah, and didn't you have my mom on this podcast?
Yes, I will be having your mom on later in the season, which I'm so excited to be doing. You have a powerhouse family. Can you just break down your family dynamic?
Yeah, so I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. My dad's a songwriter, and he wrote songs like Bless the Broken Road and Cowboy Take Me Away, Born to Fly, just to name a few. And then my mom's the actual rock star of the family, and she is a preacher who started an organization in Nashville called Thistle Farms. And it helps women with a history of drug abuse and prostitution get off the streets and start their lives anew. And it truly started in the back of a church and is now this huge facility over on Charlotte Avenue here in Nashville.
It's incredible. For all of those who have been to Nashville or planning to come to Nashville, you need to go to Thistle Farms. It's amazing. I'm burning one of the candles right now. It's the eucalyptus mint one. It makes me feel all spa-like. They do such incredible things for women on the streets, women looking for a place for salvation, for saving, and it's an incredible thing. So let's go back to your journey. What was the first time that you realized you loved singing, songwriting, entertaining? Give us the scoop.
For me, I grew up in a musical household. There's guitars around all the time, but music for me was more a hobby. And I would pick up an instrument, and I knew my dad was a songwriter, so I thought that the only way to play music is to write songs and to create your own music. For me, music was just a thing on the side. And then I went to college in Florida for 2 years, and basically music just took over. It was like a bug that was in my DNA. I was writing songs every day, couldn't get out of my dorm room. I was so in love with the creation of music. So yeah.
So it's so interesting that you say your path and your introduction to music was writing songs was the only way to do it. I think so many people, myself included, songwriting becomes a little bit later of a thing because all you know is you like to sing. I knew I liked to sing, and I knew I liked to entertain, but I didn't realize I had to create my own art, especially in today's world. I mean, probably in your father's world, there were more artists who were open to outside songs and cutting outside songs. That really was the main bread and butter of Nashville, but now the industry has shifted where the artist has to have a lot of ownership and creativity in their songs.
You create your own brand. And the best way to do that is through the songs. And a funny story is actually like growing up, my dad taught me how to play guitar. And the first song he taught me was House of the Rising Sun. And it was 4 chords.
That was one of the first songs I learned on guitar too.
Good song. But those like first 4 chords, instead of like playing House of the Rising Sun, I just used those chords to write every single song for like 3 years. And so basically all through high school, I was just like, it was all minory, like, there is a house in New Orleans. Like it was all kind of like offshoots of that. I never fell in love with like American Idol type stuff. It wasn't like I want to be an entertainer. I want to be this huge rock star. I was like, I want to be a songwriter. So everything else happened after I started writing songs and learning that I feel like my voice is the best way to tell my story.
Yeah. Would you write songs with your dad when you were really young, or was he like, no, son, go forth, do your own thing?
Kind of crazy story. I went to school in Florida, and I was writing songs in Florida for 2 years, every day. And I was sending these songs to my dad and saying, like, what do you think of this? Like, what do you think of this? And he was like, why are you in Florida right now? You're from Nashville. If you want to pursue this, you need to come back to Nashville. And the second he said that, I filed my transfer papers from Eckerd College to Belmont University and went to their songwriting program. And none of my credits transferred over. That's a whole nother thing. It was horrible. But every Thursday, I would set up a co-write with my dad. Every Thursday with my dad and one co-writer at Warner Chapel. And that's kind of where I started learning how to co-write. And that's how I started kind of professionally pursuing songwriting. And it would be like a religious experience every Thursday. I was just like, I would have all my ideas in this notebook. I would have my guitar. I'd go over to Warner Chapel and write a song. And it's how I met writers like Andrew Dorff, who wrote Neon Light, Save It for a Rainy Day, all these huge, amazing songs. And he was like one of the first co-writers that really believed in me. And we wrote together. He passed away, so it's super sad, but he was one of my first mentors as a songwriter. And that's just kind of how I started getting into the music business.
That is so cool. So my mom was a regional Texas country singer when she was in her early 20s.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and I think it's such a cool thing when you have somebody artistic in your family to be that guiding light for you, because back in college, you were young. You should be living your college life. You should be partying. But at the same time, this industry really values starting out young. I mean, I have a list of regrets in my life, but if there is one,
I have a list too of that.
Yeah. You know what? It's good to have regret, because you know what? That means you have empathy for yourself and you have empathy for others, and you would go back and change it. But if I would go back and change one thing, I wish I would have dove into the songwriting sooner. I took songwriting at USC in Los Angeles my sophomore year of college, and my whole world was like, it was a complete change of heart. The passion was there. I didn't really know much about co-writing. Again, I moved to Nashville in 2013, and similar to you, you just start writing and you just try to figure out your process, and if your ideas, which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. What do you think your biggest struggle was when you first started co-writing?
For me, co-writing, like, it was weird at first to like share an idea and to be less hard-headed about how it's going to end up. Now I'm like, here's a verse, chorus, here's a hook, whatever, just destroy it and make it better. Like, just take it and like make it beautiful. And back then I was like more like, oh, this is precious to me. Like, every single word means something, whatever. And I think an important part of Nashville is to like let that spirit go and like let kind of the creations and like the minds in the room make something beautiful. For me, the biggest struggle wasn't co-writing. It was like, how do I go from wanting to be a songwriter to like, I signed a deal with a guy named Desmond Child who wrote Living on a Prayer and Dude Looks Like a Lady and all these huge, amazing songs when I was super young. And I was like, I just want to be a songwriter, Desmond. I don't want to do the artist thing. And he was like, I just picture you like so much bigger than a songwriter. Like, you got to just pursue it and go for it while you're young.
How old were you?
I think I was 22. And so I was just like, all right, how am I going to do this? I did the whole thing backwards. So I was songwriting and then learning how to perform and learning how to sing in front of people.
What was that like?
It's weird because like, it's like doing everything backwards, because a lot of times it's like, I want to be a singer, I want to be a star, and then filling that void. But I think a lot of people are doing that more often, like Ryan Hurd, Hardy, all these guys. They were songwriters first, like full-blooded songwriters with hits and everything. And so I think it's kind of a natural process. And I think now, because it's so valuable to have a brand and so valuable to have like your own voice and talking about your own stuff, and listeners like aren't dumb like ever. Like, they're just not. They just want the best, most honest music possible. And the best way to deliver that sometimes is being a songwriter first. And so, yeah, it's like a natural process now, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's so exciting. I know I still get those little butterflies every time I go on stage, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, what's my brand? Who am I again? Why am I overthinking this? I am who I am. My fans love me for the whole reason I've like established this brand and this music. So let's talk about establishing your brand and your music. So you got to town, you came back to town from college, became a serious songwriter, and then your life transitioned to the artist life and figuring that out for yourself. And then you got an amazing label deal. And so to clarify for people listening, in Nashville, there's a bunch of trajectories to do your music, obviously. But in Nashville, there are major labels where you can get signed, and it's essentially a team where they help you get your music to radio. They help you get your music far, far, far beyond the stretches of where a lot of artists get to. So take me through that process. What was that like? Was it exciting? Was it invigorating? Was it a little like, yes, I'm finally going to make it?
Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. So I went to Belmont and basically was there for 6 months. I would do those rides with my dad every Thursday. And then halfway through my first semester, met Desmond Child. Desmond Child signed me. And by the end of that year, I had my first major label deal with Big Machine Label Group. And
did they see you at a showcase, or what was the signing like? What was the progression of that signing like?
I had one demo done, and
wow.
I just started playing shows at the basement here in Nashville. And we would do like every Wednesday, we would play a show at the basement. Every Thursday, I'd be songwriting. And I just remember we had one show there was like 50 people, 2 shows there was like 100 people, 3 shows there was 150 people. And we built this thing, and Scott Bruschetta walked in there one night, was at the front table, and just was like, I'm signing you. Like, we're doing this. Like, it's happening. It was so awesome. Like, I was like, I'm a star. It's done. Like, here we go. I'm like, I made it. And then I realized I was like, I've really never done any of the artist development that it takes to be an artist. I don't know who I am yet. And so I'm signing this deal without having I never toured. I don't have any backbone, like in terms of like hits in my back pocket or anything like that. So I was just going into it completely cold. And it was honestly a learning experience. And to be straight up honest with like my fans, like I got a big head. And then when I left Big Machine, I was like, that publishing deal, the record deal, it was all so fast, and it just like, it kind of engulfed me a little bit. And after I left the label, I was kind of in shock and like, what am I doing now? Do I keep going and doing music? 100%. Like, this is not just a dream. This is my life. I can't do anything else. So I started releasing music independently, and then it started getting, some traction. And then we started working with CAA really heavily and touring like crazy. And then last year, it's been 2.5 years being an independent artist with my amazing manager, Fletcher Foster. And
he's wonderful.
Now we're opening up for like Tim McGraw and Keith Urban and Lady A, and doing crazy, amazing things that I never got to do on a major label. And I will say this, like, I'm not anti-label at all. Like, I think it's incredible for so many people. I think it's just so important to know who you are as an artist before you go to a label. And it's so important to have done the legwork before you go and just be like, all right, carry me away, fly me to the moon, like, just do it all. Like, I feel like it's so important to like really know who you are and be grounded in yourself.
Yeah, I feel like really the last 2 years, I'm 29 as well, and the last 2 years, I feel like I've really settled into who I am as a person, what I want to say, the songs I want to sing. And regardless whether you're at a major label deal or you're an independent artist, I've been an independent artist my whole career. You have to go on the path to finding yourself. It's so crucial, and it's so important. So take me back to when you were at the label and you had the label deal and you're trying to figure out what your brand is, who you are. Was it more of a, hey, Levi, this is how we see you from the label, and then you saying, okay? Or was it a, hey, this is how we see you, and you going, I'm not sure? Right.
The best way to describe it is I did not have a producer yet. I had no songs really recorded yet. And the first the year I spent there was like, who's going to be my producer? Who's going to be my producer? And then I ended up working with Jimmy Robbins, and we made this amazing record. It was like 5 songs. It was 2016, so it was like 4 years ago. And we made this record, and we ended up working with Ram Trucks, which was Guts and Glory, and this huge campaign. And everything kind of got lost in the middle, and we just kind of like lost the path. It was like, this song's doing really well over here, but Guts and Glory, this like Ram deal is so important, all this stuff. And we kind of just came to terms. It was like, we probably need to figure out who exactly you are as an artist before we continue to like just release stuff and put stuff out. And I was like, I'm just not going to sit here and do nothing and like try to figure out who I am anymore. Like, I'm going to go do that on my own. And honestly, the most amicable split ever. It was just like, all right, see you later. Here's your songs. We love you. I was like, man, I love you guys. And I appreciate every introduction into the community, the creative community that you've given me. Jimmy Robbins is still one of my closest friends and my favorite creators to work with. And so it was all blessings. It just was like the wrong time.
Right. So take me to the moment where label deal's done. You are now on this journey to figuring out who you are. Yeah, as a young man in the world, as a songwriter, as a person. What was that process like for you? Where did you start?
I remember I was on the phone with Fletcher when he was like, I think, we need to split ways with Big Machine. And we talked for a little bit, and he was like, don't worry, Levi, like, we're going to keep doing this. And I was like, my biggest fear was like losing my manager, losing everything as well. Like, it was like, he kind of incited belief in me. And I was like, well, as long as I have my manager, like, I know, like, at least I have a career still going, like, and I know I have this, and this. By the way, I'm also incredibly a worrywart, like every artist, I think, and super just like in my head about everything. So hearing
always
that was a big
overthinking. Yes, that's like, we're professional overthinkers.
And then I got on the phone with my dad, and my dad said, it's like, now you get to figure out how bad you want this. It's like, everything came easy so far, and now it's going to be a little harder, and you're going to pay your dues. And I was like, okay. It's like, I know what I want. I want to keep doing this because this is like I said earlier, it's like, it's not a dream. This is my life. I don't have another option. Like, it's in my soul. And so, yeah, so then I remember we put out a song called Don't Waste the Night, and then went to Stagecoach and got to play Stagecoach, and then put out another song right away called Stupid. And Stupid just like freaking took off and did like 14 million streams in like 3 months over on Spotify. And so also thank you to John Marks, who like always has had my back.
He's the best too.
He honestly really had my back. So between Fletcher, John, my dad, everybody, Desmond, I just feel like I got a really solid team. And it's not been easy at all. Like, we work our butts off every day, and quarantine has been incredibly hard and insane, but it's been good though too.
When you were going through that finding yourself period, do you feel like you found yourself back in the songwriting room?
Yeah, I had less pressure on me. And so that pressure like pulling off me, like to be like, oh, I have to go to radio. Like, oh my God, like radio is going to be the only path for my success. I was like, I don't have that option. I'm just not going to radio. I don't have a promotion team. The only way for me to like continue to grow and like develop is going to be, how can I write the best song and how can I put that song out the best way and how can I be successful doing that? And yeah, so songwriting was like, it was like king. I was like back to songwriting, and that's where like I feel like I thrive, and that's where I feel like energized. It's fun because I get to like right now I can like write a song, and if I really want to put it out 3 weeks from now and just do it and not have to like ask questions. I don't have to go through all these steps and hoops and stuff. I just get to do it.
Right.
Amazing feeling as a songwriter because you're like at any point I could write a great song and put it out.
Right. And being an independent artist, you have nobody saying, nope, not yet, or holding you back, or saying, oh, this might not be on brand. I started putting out music in 2015 because it, in a way, helps you figure yourself out. You get to see how your fans react. You get to see if they think that it's on brand because, like you said earlier, fans are not dumb. They know. Right. They know when something is authentic and they know when something is inauthentic. I don't know if they're able to necessarily put it to words why, but they feel it.
Right. And I have put out inauthentic things before, and I felt the judgment. Yes,
but it's a learning lesson. And I have no doubt that you took that moment and you said, okay, now how do we make that better? How do we take that down and make it better, right? And there are tiny little moments as an artist that you can think, maybe I'm just not meant to do this.
I have that every day, so...
Pretty much every day. Yes, let's just put that out there. It's pretty much every day. But you've had such an up and down journey. You've had a great team around you. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to you and you making sure that you stay the course and you do the things that mentally keep you sane enough to squash those thoughts of doubts.
And I think for any independent artist or anything like that, if I'm being creative and I'm creating, then I'm not stuck anywhere because no matter what, I can always pick up a guitar. I don't have to be in Nashville. I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to be doing something for somebody. It's just like, sometimes it's like a good reminder. I can always pick up a guitar and write a song. And that's a really like safe feeling for me and something that's kept me going this whole time. And then like, amazing things happen. Like you get a cut with Tim McGraw or something, or you put out a song and like 5 didn't work in a row. And then all of a sudden that one did. And it's just like, wow, like that is why we do it. And that's what you believe in yourself for.
Yeah. Absolutely. Talk about that song, Not From California. What's the story behind that song?
So Not From California, it's kind of a crazy story. I actually like wrote the first like whole verse in like 3 seconds. I was driving down towards Music Row in Nashville. It was like on Magnolia Boulevard. And I just had this like literally like this thing hit me in the head. I remember I was like driving. I was like, boom, I'm more mountains and rivers than oceans and waves. I'm more moonshine and whiskey than vineyards and grapes. I'm not from California. I'm from somewhere you ain't anymore. And I was like, where did that come from? And that, like, it was just like completely done. And
I love those moments.
It was just like wild. And that day we had to write with the Warren Brothers, and we had written 3 songs, and they're like all these up-tempo kind of fun jams. And they're like, man, we just wish we wrote this like one kind of song because we have a dinner with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill tonight. And I was like, interesting you said that because I actually have another idea. And I pulled this idea out, and they loved it. And we wrote it within 30 minutes. It was done, demoed, everything. And supposedly, I guess Tim McGraw heard it at dinner that night, like stood up out of his chair and was like, I want to cut this. And then I didn't hear anything for like 3-4 months. And we ended up opening up for Tim McGraw in Michigan in August. And I guess Tim was like watching our entire set. And right after I walked off stage, she like grabbed me on the arm and started singing Not From California to me and said that he was going to put it on the record. So it was a pretty amazing experience.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations. That's amazing.
The best part of it was going to Target and buying the album. Because I
saw that on IG Reels. I was like, yes, go Levi.
Yeah. That was like out of everything that happened like for the song and like doing it, it was just cool to like be able to go pick up the record and feel it. And there's something to like still like tangible physical objects that we forget about sometimes.
Oh my gosh. And that is all a culmination of how many years would you say? Almost 20? Like basically from childbirth, you were a songwriter. Well, since our career is so chock full of high highs and low lows, and your career is a complete testimony to that.
Yeah.
How do you get yourself out of those down days? How do you stop those negative thoughts? What are your processes to say, you know what? No, I am meant for this. Where do you go in your headspace to get yourself out of those?
Well, one, like I said, like songwriting is just
It's your bliss.
Yeah, I don't do it for anybody anyways. So and if I am really sad, it's probably going to be a better song anyways.
That's an important point. Doing it for nobody else but yourself because you just simply love it and you feel like it's your purpose.
A lot of times I do think like as an artist, I do it for other people, and then songwriting, I do it for myself. And I genuinely love that feeling that you write 10 bad songs in a row and you finally write one great one. You plug it into your phone in your car and turn it all the way up and play it 15 times in a row because you love it so much. I think the chase and like the dream of hitting one of those great songs, or you keep grinding just to have that moment in the car where you can crank it up and be like, man, this is an awesome song. And if nobody else loves it, I love it. And this is what I do it for. Like those moments, that's like that feeling, that drive to that freaking high. That's what like keeps me going. And that's like where I go in mental space when I'm having those negative moments. But also like I watched my dad go through it all. My dad had 5-6 record deals that all went to shit, but he was always so positive and then wrote just massive songs. And so like watching that journey, people move all over the country and all different walks of life to come to Nashville and pursue the music journey. I watched it firsthand with my father. I know it's like Murphy's Law. I know you're going to get 1,000 no's before you get that yes, because I've seen it happen. So those no's don't hit me as hard, and certain things that probably would bug somebody else don't bug me as much. I'm calloused now.
But it takes time to develop that kind of confidence in yourself. It takes so much time to be able to not let those things sink in and not let negative comments sink in. And you've put in the work in the writing room, in the performance space, where the songwriting thing came much easier to you, but the performance thing was somewhere where you probably felt a little leveled.
Right. And the other thing I'll say is that if I really am feeling negative, I just take my dog on a walk. Because puppies like get me, and like I know that's such a lame thing to say, but like honest to God, like living a little and like a dog changes my world every day.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Puppies are the best. They just console you in a way. They don't like talk back. They don't give you any advice. They're just like, hey man, let's just like play right now. Let's just be in the moment right now, man. Just throw the ball. Let me play. Oh my gosh.
And I learned a cool fact that dogs have like one of the shortest short-term memory spans like of all time.
Oh,
anywhere from 29 to 70 seconds. And that's why like when you leave a house and you come back like 5 minutes later, they like are like, where were you? Because they can't process like the difference between 5 minutes and like 5 days. Like, then like, you being gone for like going to the grocery store is like you leaving them for like a hot minute.
Or if you take the trash out and you come back, they're like, oh my gosh, right. Where have you been?
Exactly. So next time you see a dog, remember that they only have a memory span of 70 seconds.
It's never ending love.
Exactly. They always miss you.
Oh my gosh. Well, Levi, you have such an amazing story. What's next for you? What's going on in your life?
I don't know.
Said every single artist happening right now in the world.
I saw Kelsey tweeted something the other day. Kelsey Ballerini. She was like, am I questioning like what am I doing in my life? Like every 5 seconds, she was like, yeah, same. I'm doing that. And I think that every single artist and every single person is just like, what is going on? But I got some really great news today. My brand new single just got added to Hot Country. So I'm going to go revel in that and go drink a bunch of beers.
Yay! Good for you. Celebrate that high moment.
Yeah. So today's one of those good days, like right before the podcast started. I like just saw it. So really, really stoked about that. I am in the studio right now also working on an EP for this fall. And you're the first person I've said that out loud to other than my managers. I'm not going to give the date, but I am working on it. So that is allowed to be said.
There you go, guys. Stay tuned for new Levi Hummon music.
Yeah, so I'm working on a ton of music right now. Really excited about it. And I think like almost all these songs have been written during the pandemic. So I've been really, really writing and just trying to create something beautiful. And I think that it's going to be pretty fun.
That's the one silver lining during this pandemic is being able to at least be in a closed space with a few people and just songwriting. Going back to that base layer of, okay, let's just write the best songs we can, because when we're on the road, you don't really write that much because you're just so crazy busy and you're so overstimulated with meeting fans and going from town to town. So I think a lot of incredible music is going to come from this year. Well, we're going to end this conversation with a fun lightning round for people to get to know you a little better.
That's what I've been waiting for, some soft.
Yes, I know. We got deep. So now we're going to bring it back up. I've seen every episode of.
Oh my gosh. I just watched Queen of the South, but Game of Thrones and The Office.
Oh, The Office is the best. I'm, for the first time, watching The Office all the way through because for some reason I just don't watch TV. It's incredible. It's so good.
I'm actually watching Outer Banks right now. I'm freaking out about that right now.
That's on my list. My favorite meal ever is?
Ramen. Current favorite, but also like barbecue. I'm a foodie, like legit foodie.
Like a high-class ramen restaurant or like a ramen noodles college style?
I'm like fancy ramen, but I will say this, that if you're in Nashville, my favorite ramen spot, Otaku Ramen, honestly, like we went to the ramen spot with this like professional ramen eater dude. And he was like, this is some of the best ramen I've ever had. So Otaku Ramen in Nashville.
Okay, gotta be on my list. My secret songwriting tip for aspiring songwriters is...
If you think it's a stupid idea, it's probably really, really good.
Oh, that's so good. Love that. My favorite song ever written is...
Wow. Okay, Fast Car, because I cover it all the time and I love playing it. But I think it's just like the guitar like alone and just the simplicity of it and just the honesty of it. It's my favorite song.
Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, right?
Yes.
Oh, I love that song. Something I would tell my 21-year-old self is...
Don't drink that beer. You don't need that many beers.
Someone wise once told me.
Oh, wow. One of the coolest like artist advice I ever got was like, the best thing you can do as an artist is to exist in your own lane. Like the best artists in the world, like a Miranda Lambert, John Mayer, all these people, they don't compete with anybody. They're just themselves. And it comes from a genuine, honest confidence. And so I would just say to anybody and also to myself, like, be yourself. Honest to God, that's what it is.
Stay in your own lane. I love that. Well, Levi, I really appreciate you being on the Living As Said podcast today. I think there's going to be so many great things that people can benefit from your story. And at the end of the day, you're just a fighter. No doubt you will be songwriting till you go up to heaven. So I'm so privileged to watch your career unfold and to know you. And I really appreciate you doing this today.
Oh, thanks. And I appreciate you having me. And I'm a huge fan of yours. And let's do this again.